What do you get when you take some therapists and put them in front of a screen to watch something creeping back from childhood that should have never been for children or preteens? They're gonna dive right in and reassess those flicks. What's more scary and disturbing than you realize and gave you nervous tics? They're the movies that traumatized us.
But that's okay. All we were talking about is the fact that, you know, Beetlejuice was in, you know, upstate Connecticut. And, oh, well, we did talk about our new merch, you know, that we got new merch.
Talked about the merch, and you apologize for Rule 34.
Yeah, I apologize for the Rule 34 slip again. You know, it's kind of like that unintentional nip slip.
Right.
Yeah, it's just an unintentional Rule 34 slip that just happened to show a crow's penis with a mouse crawling on it. So, anyways, Beetlejuice, upstate Connecticut. That's where it takes place.
It is a family film.
Right. But okay, so that's really what we were talking about, right? So, newlyweds, just married. As you were telling me earlier, I guess they own the hardware store in town?
Yeah, I don't think they were just married. It's like within the first 2 years of them being married, because Jane, the nosy ass neighbor, was like, "Oh, you know, this house is really too big for two people." You know, and it all of a sudden Barbara looks like forlorn, and she's like, "Oh no, I didn't mean that, honey. I'm sorry," because they'd been trying for a while to have.
Right. That's true. I suppose that's possible. The way I always understood it is that they were fairly recently married. So I guess within the first 2 years would be a completely valid place for them to be. But he owned the hobby store, and you know, she was. What did she do? Was she a homemaker?
I think so.
Like, she didn't work at all?
I don't remember what she did, if anything, because they didn't really allude to it.
And then, yeah, nosy real estate neighbor who was always trying to, like, pawn their house off on them. But anyways, you know, you get the Maitlands, and then, you know, they go out. They were headed into town for something. There was something they went to buy. I don't remember what it was.
She had bought him something for the big diorama of the town he was making, and he was like, "I need to go get this. Do you want to ride with me?" And she's like, "Yeah, sure," you know, because they want to be together all the time, because
they're newlyweds. Good times, right? I mean, isn't that what all newlyweds want?
Yeah, they want to be together all the time.
It makes sense. So that gets us here. You know, which is the accident. So,
2 weeks ago, the perfect vacation.
Jane says we should sell the house to someone with a family.
Well, I don't think that it's any of Jane's business. Besides, we could try again on this vacation, you know?
This is Alec Baldwin and Gina Davis.
I know. It's so dusty. Like him. Like, I barely recognize him. It's so like.
I wish I would have gotten a picture of him in 30 Rocks, and now like a side-by-side comparison.
So you know that dog makes its first appearance right there. The dog that kills him is walking across the road.
I did not.
Morning, Adam.
Oh
Need
my
a
God.
haircut for your vacation?
Oh, thanks, Bill.
How's the model coming?
Oh, it's great.
You know, you said Brosman built that foundation in
Like
1835.
totally, never
But
even
his
noticed
grandson
that.
come-
I don't know how I missed that.
And because he's the owner, he can like go in and rifle through all the money and
He
shit.
got hair
so
right down
it's
to
not-
his
it's
goddamn
not a thing.
shoulders. He
Right?
says to me,
And then he's like,
just
yeah, it's my
trim
shop.
it a little.
Like, yeah, whatever.
I
I'm gonna do what I
said,
want.
See you later, Bill.
fast.
just gonna go in and take all these carts.
Right.
And I just hear this old guy was talking to himself the entire time.
Yeah. There's that sneaky little shit.
It's gonna
Like,
be
come
great.
on,
Are you sure you wouldn't rather go to Jamaica or someplace like that?
No way. There's a real place like
Hey, look out for that!
Trigger warning if you don't like bridges.
Right? I could never show this to B. However, I'm still gonna say this time and time again. I don't understand how this killed them.
I don't either because it's not a very far fall, and they could have opened the doors and swam out.
Right. They could have even swam out just by rolling down the windows.
Exactly.
Like, so what did they do? Just sit in there and be like, oh, I guess that's it. We're just giving up on life.
I get because they actually had the windows rolled down already.
Alright, so what? They're screaming in the water and suddenly gulp down.
Love this dog. Oh yeah, I killed you. Bye.
And this is, this is the part that leads us to them returning home, right? Like, yeah.
You'll feel better when you're dry, honey.
So I love how seamless they did this bit right here. Because,
That
they're
fire wasn't
home,
burning when
they're
we left.
dripping wet.
How's your arm?
That's really strange.
I don't know if it's frozen.
Fire auto lights itself.
Right.
It doesn't. You don't really give a moment until it catches on fire, and then you're like, what?
Ah.
But I don't know. Maybe they were fracking in the neighborhood and got into the water and. Welcome back.
Oh, God, it's gonna be one of those nights again.
so you missed my my bit there where I was talking about maybe what happened is they fell in the water and it's just fracking runoff, and that's why she was able to light herself on fire.
Oh yeah.
See, just run off from the fracking.
Just catches me on fire.
Hey guys, yeah, that's a thing. So that leads to them. Right, exactly, Kai. That's exactly my point. They should not have died from that. That little tiny bridge was not that big of a fall. They fell what? Maybe 10 feet?
Maybe because it's like an old country bridge.
Right.
Not a very high one.
No, it went over a creek.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to call that we'll call it a river for the sake of calling it a river, but that was one slow, lazy river. It wasn't raging. It wasn't deep.
Right.
So, how did this fall kill them? Seriously, it's like they just gave up when they hit the water. They were like, we might as well just sit here and drown. It's cool. I mean, explain to me, how do people drown in water that deep? Maybe they couldn't swim. Wait. Maybe they couldn't swim. Maybe that's the problem. Maybe we're expecting too much of them. We're expecting that,
right.
Landlocked Connecticut people can swim.
Or the seatbelt jammed. Both of them.
Both seatbelts jammed? I mean, unlikely.
It was a pretty old car.
It's not impossible. It's improbable, but not impossible. But I mean, whatever. All right, cool. Yeah, sure. You guys died because you fell 10 feet and got scared. Whatever. I don't know. Maybe you just decided that you were fish and you could suddenly drink water and it would fill your lungs with air. I really don't know what they were thinking or how they died there. This is one of the few things that's always bugged me about this movie.
All of a sudden, you died.
Yeah. Like, oops, 10-foot fall. That's kind of like the proverbial, don't trip and fall outside because you'll die instantly kind of thing. That's pretty much what they did. They tripped and fell off the bridge and died. And it's just kind of, how? How did you die from that?
We should submit it to 1001 Ways to Die, and that narrator can tell us how they died.
You know what? That's a good thought. We should do that. She's gonna say bye again. There she goes. She didn't want to stick around. She was like, nope, I'm done. I'm the fuck out of here. We're done. No more talk of drowning. So okay, let's move on to the next bit. This is where they come home. nothing intrinsically really terrifying. You know, if you're afraid of bridges, or you're, afraid of water, I suppose that scene right there could be pretty traumatizing.
Right.
My daughter doesn't like bridges. She loves water. So she would hate the fact that they were about to fall off the bridge. She'd be like, see, this is why I don't like bridges.
How's your arm?
I don't know if it's frozen.
On like a 5-foot bridge off water.
Right. Like a 5-foot bridge into 3 feet of water. Honey, my wax hand is on fire.
Maybe we should just take things extra slow. Do you remember how we got back up here?
It's like, you can tell it's Gina Davis. It's
I'm
just
gonna
so
go
hard
back
to
down to the
recognize
bridge
now.
and retrace our steps.
I know. He just looks completely different.
And then he was transformed into...
Tight. It's Saturn's moon.
So where's all the methane?
2 hours.
Oh, Barbara, you are not going to believe what?
That's how long you
Maybe
were
that's why her hand caught on fire.
What is going on?
To show you
They
something.
were outside the house.
Look.
I did like this one. Vampire in the mirror,
Right.
moving the horse.
There's that.
Here, just wear these green gloves and move the horse. I knew you. You need to do this.
Handbook for the recently diseased.
Now, the handbook of the recently deceased that they never pay attention to.
Deceased.
Right.
They literally,
came
they
from.
get literally everything that they need distilled to them in one neat little book, and they barely ever pay attention to it.
Handbook
reads
for the
like
recently
stereo
deceased
instructions.
Press.
You know what? I don't think we survived the crash.
Yeah, kind of sandworms, am I right?
I hate this. Just, can you give me the basics?
Well, this book isn't arranged that way. Well, what do you want to
Sandworm.
know?
Thought everybody loved
Well,
sandworms. Who doesn't
Why
like a
did you
good
disappear
sandworm?
when you stepped off the porch? Are we halfway to heaven or
Yeah,
halfway to
sandworms
hell?
are awesome.
You
How
know,
long is this gonna last?
I don't
Now they're
see
coming to
anything
this
about heaven or
realization that
hell.
they've
This
died.
book reads like stereo instructions.
they're
Listen
having
to
their
this.
they're coming
Geographical
to
and
moments of like,
temporal
oh, wait,
perimeters.
hey,
Functional
we're
perimeters
dead.
vary from manifestation to
And
manifestation.
this is probably like the one moment where he actually attempts
this
to
takes some
read the
time,
book
honey.
Right.
in any like legible way, like any visible way.
I mean, Tim Burton has this way of making horror very fun and entertaining.
Oh no, I totally agree. The afterlife is weird. Yes, the afterlife is very weird. I mean, we could literally go from this movie into The Corpse Bride.
Right.
I love this. Sandworm incidents increase 13% from last year.
Well, I better find a job. Let's see, business section. Ooh la la, what do we got
This
here?
is where he finds the Maitlands.
Cute couple.
Yep.
Look nice and stupid, too.
They look nice and stupid too.
Hey, whatever works for him. But he's right. They do look nice and stupid because they were. They didn't pay attention to anything.
I mean, I wonder in his life, like when Beetlejuice was actually alive, I wonder if he was a con man. Because he lived through the Black Plague, which doesn't mean
possible.
anything.
He could have been like a grifter of some kind.
I could see that. That kind of fits his personality of, they look nice and stupid too, and we're gonna, have him whatever he wants from them. What is his end game? He never says.
I don't know that he really ever has an end game. His end game is doesn't want to be trapped anymore.
He doesn't want to be trapped in the model.
Right. He doesn't want to be imprisoned anymore. That's his only like major end game that I can think of that like really follows or flows from everything else that he's doing. Is he's like, because that's why he tells Lydia he wants to get married, right?
Mm-hmm.
I want to get married so I can be free. I can't be free if I don't, this is the only way I can get out of here.
I really want to see like the book and the contracts that say that he has to do X, Y, and Z to have freedom.
You know, don't they cover that in the... I feel like they cover that in the cartoon.
They might. I don't remember the I remember the cartoon was a lot. It was funnier and campier and had a shit ton of puns.
Yes, it did. It did.
They might have covered that in the cartoon.
Well, I just remember that he always had the contract with him in the cartoons. Like, it was a pretty staple piece. Like, that and the marriage contract. Like, he always had those with him. Because he was always trying to get Lydia to just get her done.
Just sign it.
Yeah. You know, yeah, I mean, in fairness, in the cartoon, he shows her the world, literally, right? Like, he takes her everywhere.
Right.
So, I mean, but, you know, we'll get into the more family aspects of this movie as we get further down the line. But, you know, it's just, the start of this movie is so just weird because you see how they die and you're just kind of like, how? Right?
Yes,
it's not like they drove off the Skyway, right? It's not like they drove off the Skyway bridge. They didn't drive out to the center of that and careen to miss a dog and go plummeting 150 feet into the ocean below, right? Like, that's not
I
what
would
happened.
totally understand if you did not survive. Most people don't.
Correct. However, 10-foot drop off of Little Country Bridge. I just...
Right.
You know, what, was the Sleepy Hollow fucking guy there? Like, you know, was the Headless Horseman there waiting in the water? Like, I claim 2 more lives.
That Christopher Walken just coming up out of the water and... Walking in a Burton Wonderland.
I'm just gonna say that, honestly, that would have been terrifying. That might have actually caused trauma. If that's what happened and that's how they died, you want to talk about a weird crossover? However, you know, covered bridge across the water, the Headless Horseman couldn't cross it. Yeah, you know, okay, I can follow it.
I mean, both directed by Tim Burton.
Yeah, you know, I can follow it. I think actually Sleepy Hollow is on our list, wasn't it? It's not till around Christmas time, because it's a Christmas movie.
Yeah, but I think we were doing Gremlins this Christmas.
I thought we were doing Gremlins in... Were we doing Gremlins this Christmas?
Yeah, Gremlins is a Christmas movie.
Gremlins and Gremlins 2, both are Christmas movies. We were doing one other one. We were doing a twofer in December.
Oh, were we?
What was our other Christmas movie?
I don't remember. ADHD should have written things down.
Right, exactly. You know, somebody did suggest to me Independence Day.
But that would be for July, right?
Yeah. Which would be next month.
Yeah, which would be next month. But I thought we were doing Land Before Time. It doesn't matter.
We are doing Land Before Time. So, you know, but somebody did suggest Independence Day, and I was like, ooh, that's one we could always add to the list. Right, anyways. All right, getting back to the Maitlands. You know, so what was it? Right after they get back from this, you know, they realize all this stuff. Don't they go to the underworld next?
Yes, they try to figure out how to get help. And then they finally go to the waiting room.
I think we have a clip for the waiting room.
I think we do too.
It looks like this one.
That's just an experience, all of it's up.
Now, the waiting room actually is one of the few places where shit was a little traumatizing.
Yeah.
Trying to cut down myself.
Yeah, weird smoker's lung. This guy here, you know, like fell asleep smoking a cigarette in bed and lit the house on fire. All you can think about is the little girl getting murdered by her father. In Land Before Time.
And then this is the Amazon hunter that got his
This is
head
what
shrunk.
happens when
head
you
shrunken.
die. That is what happens when he dies. And that is what happens when they die. It's all very personal. And I'll tell you something. If I knew then,
This is where we
what I
really
know
get
now,
clued in by the
I
movie
would have
that
had my
civil
little
servants have committed suicide. I wouldn't have had my little accident.
Maitland, party of two. Take the handbook and go to the sixth
And this
floor.
guy obviously got run over by, he threw himself in front of a car.
Right. It's
Come
really
on.
messed up that they put him on a clothesline and drag him around.
Well, they show someone who who hung themselves too.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, like he's hanging by his own noose and he's dropping papers off.
is arriving at gate 3.
How do I look?
But
There
I
are
thought
no
the
mirrors
prevailing
on this
theory
side.
was that Beetlejuice also hung
Yeah?
himself.
Fine.
Thanks.
But he's also a civil servant.
is not being hung by his own rope.
Or was, or whatever.
Oh, yeah, you're right. How did I never notice that guy? That's kind of messed up.
Right?
Like, even more so, is that it's legitimately a person hanging by a rope, swirling around because they literally throw their hand out and drop off the paper.
And I don't think that we have a clip of this, but when they walk down the hallway going to Juno's office, they have that they pull up the curtain and they see like that ghostly film, kind of like Haunted Mansion Disney style. And the janitor's like, that's the room for lost souls, and it's like foreshadowing what happens when they get spirits get exorcised.
Yes, that's right. That does foreshadow the fact that spirits can be excised, and if they are exorcised, then they go into purgatory, basically.
Right. And as a kid, I was just like, oh, they're showing this thing. I didn't realize they were foreshadowing all of this stuff.
Right, exactly. Well, it's just like I said, I miss the fact that the dog shows up when they're driving into town. They're literally foreshadowing the dog is about to cause them to get killed because they stop for the dog so it can cross the road. Because it just walks out in front of the car like it's got some kind of death wish.
If spirits exercise, they get buff muscles. You would think so, Kai. You would think so.
I mean, but they don't have muscle to build.
But the inverse happens. We'll go into that, but they like get sunken and, yeah.
Well, because they decay.
Right.
We don't have Juno at all, do we? No, we don't.
No, not the first one. We have her later when she says, like, the whorehouse was my idea.
Yeah, because... Do we have her with the whorehouse is my idea? I don't see that one.
Not when they ask for help.
No. Now, I do have the whorehouse JPG.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Kai, you're making me work there and have to add things because the whorehouse was your idea. I did not like whorehouse. You know, our channel really hates us with our the fact that we always have to add words. And so, this spot, the thing that was creepy about this spot really was just the amount of stuff that's visually on screen at one point in time.
Mm-hmm.
And it adds to it later when they come back, because they make a second trip back to the waiting room to see Juno to ask for help.
No, Juno brings them in.
Does she bring them back that second time?
And she says, you two really messed up. You called...
Oh, yeah, because they called Beetlejuice.
And you have the sports team all like, Coach. It's like, not your coach. He survived.
Hey, Coach, I don't think we're alive anymore.
You think?
Alright, so, the other thing I want to talk about, and we really didn't touch on this, I would have brought it up a little bit later, but I don't see that we have another clip when they get thrown back to Titan. And so since we were talking about it briefly, because we don't have the sandworm clip, we have the sandworm practical effect. We don't even have when they move into the house, do they?
Delia, when they move into... let me see.
I've got...
Accidents, Beetlejuice clip at Showtime, the snake.
Oh man, the snake scene.
Mm-hmm. free with every exorcism. No, I thought I had that.
We've got We're Simpatico, The Waiting Room. Yeah? That's alright. So...
I'm just gonna download the whole movie and we'll just go through the whole movie next.
Right? No, we don't need to do that though. I mean, we could, but we don't need to. So let's talk about family. So you get Delia and Dad and Lydia move in now because we come out of the waiting room. Time has passed. The house has been sold, and they come back, and new people are in their house. People are moving into their house. You've got the somewhat supportive dad who seems to be okay with alternative lifestyles. He doesn't seem to really have a problem with the fact that Lydia is like super goth. You've got stepmom Delia, who's just like super rigid and just off in her own little wackadoodle world. I don't even know what to think about that woman. She
is a high maintenance, high life sculptor.
Sure.
And she's
nuts.
Yeah.
And
then Olaf.
Oh man, Olaf. Freaking Olaf. Like that dude, like I don't even like he's out there too. Like he's just as crazy as she is.
Right? It's like he's the upscale interior designer that who just tags along with Delia everywhere. I think he just lives there with them.
I'm pretty sure that he does. Like he's just always walking around in his bathrobes.
Right? Like the bathrobes, and then he's the spray painting of the walls and
oh yeah. Like, no, you read my mind. We're going to do fuchsia here.
Right? And they walk through the bathroom like, oh look, an indoor outhouse.
Oh,
it's just totally scoffing everything that Barbara and Adam built, and they're like,
right,
well, we were gonna grow old in this house. We liked it, so
right.
What's wrong with it?
Right, but it wasn't good enough for them. But Dad's there on some kind of like mental health break, as it is, anyways.
Because he was like a real estate investor. Yeah.
So they come in, and this starts us down the line of where the movie really begins to pick up and where we really begin to get into the things that are more likely to cause trauma situations. Because this is where we get into Mr. Ghost with the most. This is, and oddly enough, when we rewatched this movie, one of the first things that we noticed a lot of is that this movie is about Beetlejuice. That's what we always think of, but he's really not in this movie a whole lot.
He has a total of 17 minutes he's in this movie. Out of an hour-and-a-half movie, he is only in it 17 minutes.
And he is the primary billed actor. He is the title of the movie. 17 minutes.
That's all he's in it.
17 minutes. We should have looked up how much he got paid for those 17 minutes, because I bet he got paid a good chunk of change. Because, I mean, look at costume, makeup. There was a lot to his character.
Right? He had to sit in makeup for a while.
Oh, yeah. I am really curious, though, as to how much he made for this movie. This is one of my favorite Michael Keaton films, though. Don't get me wrong.
I mean, his net worth is $40 million.
Well, sure, but
I'm trying to see how much he got paid for Beetlejuice. He was offered. Oh, that was Batman. I want Beetlejuice. It doesn't say. Anyway, what's interesting is Beetlejuice, I think where they got this from is from the constellation Orion. Because there's a star is called Beetlejuice, and it means in Arabic either the armpit or the hand.
Which we all also know that Beetlejuice, if you're not up to date with your science, is, you know, going to go supernova, and when it does, we will be able to see it even in the daytime sky.
Oh, wow, I did not know that.
Yeah, it's headed for supernova. It could happen anytime between now and the next, you know, couple, like 100 years or something like that.
Huh.
Yeah. So, you know, Beetlejuice. So yeah, but which is pretty awesome. And at one point, Juno does say that Beetlejuice was her right-hand man.
Mm-hmm.
He used to be, you know, the guy she ran to the most.
Because he was the ghost with the most.
Right.
Are you a ghost too?
Because, you know.
The ghost with the most, babe.
And I think we have them meeting Beetlejuice when it says it's showtime, I think.
Maybe you could help me get
have that
out of here,
Showtime
you know, because
We might. Let me check and see. Yeah, we do. It's this one right here.
Where are you? Help them, please.
No, this is when Lydia comes to him asking him for help. So this is when they meet him.
What?
Look.
Oh, where's Simpatico is when he meets them.
Yeah, that would be...
You know what's really beautiful about this? You two kids picked me. You didn't have to, but you picked me. It makes me want to kiss you guys. Come on. Come on. Give me one. Come on. You're hard one, huh? All right, let's get down to business. You're right. I got a card around here somewhere.
Hair, man.
Here.
I know, right?
Here, hold that for me, would you?
Whoa!
There you go.
You don't have to kill anybody.
Possession. Good. Learn to throw your voice. Fool your friends. Fun and party.
No, we just want to get some people out of our house.
I understand. Well, look, in order to do that, I'm really gonna have to get to know you guys. You know, we gotta get closer. Move in with you for a while. Get to be real pals. You know what I'm saying?
That is a lot of love. A lot of pride.
My wife and I would like to ask you a couple
I know.
Sure.
That is
Go
a
ahead.
ton of pride.
For instance,
Happy Pride Month.
what are your qualifications?
Well, I attended Juilliard. I'm a graduate of the Harvard Business School. I travel quite extensively. I lived through the Black Plague, and I had a pretty good time during that.
But I
I've
mean,
seen The Exorcist
like,
about
just the amount of work that they
167
put in
times,
his face,
and
I
it keeps
can't
getting
imagine,
funnier
like, just
every
looking at
single
all the
time I
makeup on
see
his
it.
face makes my
Not to
face
mention the
itch.
fact that you're talking to
Right?
a dead guy. Now, what do you think? You think I'm qualified?
What I mean is, can you be scary?
I am actually looking to
hey,
see
don't
what the
ask
clues are that they give us
scary.
about how he killed himself.
What do you think of this? You like it?
And I still love the jack-off moment
Excuse
there
us,
where
please.
he's just like,
Sure. Talk amongst yourselves.
Oh, let's go.
I know, Papa, honey, but I think he could be of some
No,
use to us later
let's
on.
need to work something out ourselves. We just have to talk.
Yeah.
Hey!
Excuse me?
What?
Excuse me. We are leaving now.
Oh, wait. Oh, come on. Don't go yet. Hey, guy, come on. We're simpatico here. Look at us. Huh? We even shop in the
This is
same store. Hey,
perfect.
hermano. Yeah, there you go.
like I just like all the work that they put
He's in
into
the pod,
him.
the three of us. Let's face
for
it, you
these
want somebody
scenes
out of
is
the
so
house.
well
I want
done.
to get somebody out of your house. Come, look. We've been to Saturn. Hey, I've been to Saturn. Whoa. Sandworms. You hate them, right? I hate them myself. Come on, kids.
Saturn.
What do I have to do to strike a deal with you two, huh?
Sandwich, all right.
Don't you hate it when that
I
happens?
love
Let's
so
go,
the
Barbara.
head spinning
Wait,
scene.
come
Honestly,
on. Just come on for a while. We'll
that
talk
right
inside.
there
Come on,
was
come on.
a moment where when I was a kid, I was
Wait,
like, oh god.
Right.
We have to get out of here.
I agree,
Like,
but
I
you
remember seeing the toy from McDonald's that they put in.
Barbara, how did you do that?
Yeah.
Hope you like Italian. Where'd you go? Hey, come on. Hey, where'd you go? Oh, hey, come on. You gotta work with me here. I'm just trying to cut a deal. What do you want me to do? Where are you? You bunch of losers!
And I
You're
love how
working
they
with a
had like, just the way they did
professional!
everything for these parts so that it looked like it was still on the miniature.
Nice
The
fucking
astroturf
model!
Round, you know, the way the tree falls over, how it's obviously not like attached to anything or part of anything.
Ash Lamers is one that would be up there as a trauma.
The snake creature was terrifying. Everything about it. The weird, glossy guys, the little independent style. Like...
And then almost killing when he was by his dad. Yes.
We come for your daughter, Chuck.
Right. This look on, that look.
Why are you doing this? Leave me alone, all of you.
Where he was all like skeevy checking out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just oof.
They're like pedophiles from here.
Right? No, seriously. Just bleh, bleh, bleh.
That gave me the creeps as a kid. I was like, ew.
Yes. Yeah, that's why I say, like, easily, you know, the shrimp and then the snake, these two scenes are probably the most traumatic scenes in the whole movie.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, my side of the rating literally comes from these two scenes. Because there isn't much else that I think happens in Beetlejuice that is terribly traumatic. The rest of what happens in this movie actually has to do with more like, and it's not, obviously, one of the big things that we talk about whenever we do the movies that traumatize us is that, you know, there's always so much more that's happening beyond just the trauma that's on screen, right? There's all the other mental health things that are happening with the family, like the rigidity of, he should have bitten someone on the neck. Yes, I agree. The rigidity of her stepmom and her inability to be flexible or her inability to understand anybody else's position. She wants everything to be controlled her way. It has to be exactly the way she wants it or it's no good at all. You've got dad who's completely aloof because his business and his job stresses him out so much that he just came out here to decompress and that's all he's trying to do. And he's not really focused on everything else that's happening in the house, let alone his own daughter's, like, dislike of where she's at.
And guess who pays the price for the caregivers not paying attention? The daughter.
The daughter. She pays the price. And that's, you see a lot of it manifest in, like, her dark goth kind of personality, you know? She's going through the whole rigidity, giggity. She's going through the whole movie. You know, at some point, you know, she's even writing her suicide note. But the reason why Lydia can see them is because she's already open to the possibility of death.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone else is so close-minded to the concept. That's why Lydia sees more than everybody else. She is already open to the idea of dying and being outside of the world she's in. She feels unseen as it is.
Yeah, she even says in there, I feel so utterly alone. In her suicide note, I will have plummeted off the River Winters Bridge.
Yes, the 10-foot drop into 3 feet of water.
10-foot drop. She would have plummeted and gotten really wet.
If she landed wrong, she might have broken an ankle. Maybe a fracture of the leg. You know, but
I mean, she could tie a cinder block like around her neck and keep her under the water if we're gonna go that far.
I mean, she also could just let's get dark. Tie a noose to the top of the bridge rafters and jump off the bridge.
But then she'd come back as a civil servant.
Well, she doesn't know that.
The Maitlands could tell her.
The Maitlands would tell her but at this point she hasn't talked to them enough. Like, even at the suicide note part, she hadn't really talked to them enough. You know, and then after the snake happens, she's like, leave me alone, because she doesn't understand that Beetlejuice, yes, was their fault, but not what they wanted.
Right. And I think she finds companionship with the Maitlands. Like, she finds the nurturing that she's wanting or craving.
Right, and they get the family that they were craving. But that's further down the line. We'll get there. Let's see. We got the shrimp. We got the snake. We got simpatico.
Never
would be-
trust the living. This is where we see Juno. Never trust the living.
Is it the Never Trust the Living clip?
Yep.
Wasn't it Beetlejuice that told them not to trust the living though?
No, Juno did because they got the handbook.
Ah, that's right. There it is. Yes, head first dive into 3 feet of water off a 10-foot bridge is a broken neck. Yeah, that's true. That's true.
If she was going to the dramatic swan dive.
But I don't think she would have done that. I think she would have jumped feet first, which would have been broken ankles, possibly compound fracture. But, you know, that's another discussion. That's a whole nother discussion. I'm starting to worry. Are we again being the therapists that traumatize instead of talking about... I really feel like
I don't rule on the internet where it's like you just talk about death.
I mean, it does kind of come up. It's one of those things. And if you notice, it's kind of a common theme in a lot of our movies. We end up kind of talking about death or how a movie allegories around to death or whatnot. I mean, we did it even with The Secret of NIMH.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, there was a lot of death in The Secret.
There really was. Like, if we're being honest.
I mean, Nicodemus died by a cinder block being dropped on his head.
Yeah. Jenner dies by being impaled. Oh,
right.
The other guy dies after getting stabbed in the back.
Jonathan was eaten by a cat that started this whole thing.
Oh, right? And then the owl stepping on the bones of dead... Yeah.
And then the spider...
No, we already discussed that. That's not happening.
We're not doing Rule 34 with Beetlejuice and Lydia.
Nope. We already all know it exists. We're not going there. We went there with The Secret of NIMH because we weren't sure that Jeremy and, Mrs. Frisbee existed. We went there, we found out, and we accidentally showed it to the world. So, no, we're not going there. Alright, so, never trust the living.
Get back, you losers! How dare you hear
I still want to know how he got a driving vehicle.
I'm not fond of Charles
Right.
particularly, but you could have killed
How
him.
did he get a vehicle that...
my job.
Adam drives the vehicle too later.
It's
Yeah,
okay. You know why?
How? Where do they get a
I don't wanna do
drivable
business
vehicle
with
on a
you
model?
dead
Is it just
anyway.
because they're
Thank you.
undead and suddenly magic
only one
works
I
for
think
them?
I
Is that what
can
the
deal
deal
with
is? Like,
Is Edgar Allan Poe's daughter.
I touched this vehicle, and in my mind, this
You leave
vehicle
her
is supposed to
alone,
be a
you
working vehicle that drives. But, like, he crashed it, and it was, like, smoking. Again, with the 8-carton lawn. I love it.
Go ahead.
And the spikes
My
that
millennium.
he produces out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Make my millennium. That's a whole throwback to
Anxious.
I
mean,
what's his
it's been about
face?
600 years after
Clint Eastwood.
all. I wonder where a guy, an everyday Joe like myself, can find a little action. Yeah.
And this is the whorehouse was my idea.
Because Barbara was like, "How did you build that?"
Right? Dante's Inferno.
Oh, yeah, here I come, baby. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
His face is...
Adam, why did you build that?
I didn't.
And back in the waiting room.
Yep.
Hey, look, it's our hanging guy again.
Uh-huh.
Will you guys shut up and leave me alone? I've got all this paperwork to do. You two, come in here. Sit down. Get in here, both of you.
She's so cranky. She's so mad.
The whorehouse was my idea. I want Beetlejuice out of the picture. You two have really screwed up. I received word that you allowed yourself to be photographed. And you let Beetlejuice out and didn't put him back. And you let Otho get hold of the handbook.
Handbook when?
Never trust the living. We cannot have a routine
What I want to know
haunting
is why
like
was
yours
the handbook even
provide
available
proof
for
that there is
living people to
existence
see?
beyond death.
Right.
Coach,
Coach, where's the men's room?
Or was it just that Otto himself also
not
was
your
open
coach.
to the idea, but
He
couldn't really see
survived.
them.
Wait, Coach, let me get something straight. What's our curfew around
I just never understood why
Will
he
you
was
get
able
out
to
of
see the
here?
book.
Go on,
Me
get
either.
downstairs. Men's room, are you kidding? There's a read signs. I'll be right back.
So, you know, that's that bit there where, you know, oh hey, it's your wife's house. For shame.
Okay. I'm just gonna sip my tea.
Okay, that's all, folks. Thanks. The yes, yes, yes.
And it's they go to the they want to pitch this whole carnival deal to this big land investor guy that Mr. Dietz knows, but
Oh,
Mr.
yes.
Dietz is a joke.
Yeah, that's
the real estate world.
right. And then they invite him down
Mhm.
because his wife likes ghosts, and that's how we get to the seance. Yeah, you broke me just a little bit there. Sorry. And then we get to the seance, and the seance is a lot of fun too. The seance, however, was also terrifyingly sad.
Mm-hmm.
When you think about the implications of
It's showtime.
Multipass?
Attention, Kmart shoppers.
I love the Kmart shoppers reference because it's so not going to be got by almost anybody today.
Nobody's gonna or the blue light special that came
Right?
Well, I'm back. I feel real good about myself, you know what I mean? So, without further delay, welcome to Winter River.
Where he's playing off the
Museum of
carnival
Natural
theme
Green,
from the whole-
a monument to the board business, man. Come on a little
Pitch.
closer. Step right up, test your strength.
I will
Thank
always
you.
be forever amused by
Thank
that.
you. Woo. That
Where
is
did
why
they
I
land?
won't do 2 shows a night anymore, babe. I won't.
They
I
go
won't
through the
do-
roof. I don't think we
Well.
ever find out where they land.
What do we got here tonight, kids? Ooh, well, we got the Maitlands. I think they've had enough exercise for a night.
Not so fast, brown boy. We're gonna have some
What do you
laughs.
mean? This is where he makes Otto's nightmare come true with the polyester leather suit.
Yes. Look at this is a brilliant nightmare with the terrible red shoes.
Right?
I mean, you gotta give it up if you're gonna have a nightmare, a baby blue polyester leisure suit with bright red shoes. I mean, that is kind of horrifying. I don't care who you are, you can't tell me that is not horrifying.
Right?
That's horrifying. Just saying. That's horrifying.
I mean, I think that would be like a fashion designer's nightmare.
Right?
I mean,
Like,
hence
straight
he's
up.
an interior designer. And
Right, exactly. And then suddenly there's like, oh yeah, that's just got to be nightmare fuel for him. I can't imagine it being anything but nightmare fuel for him. Like, honest to God, it's just oof. I mean, that's the moment that traumatized him the most.
it's like, oh my god!
Like, it's a terrifying scene. It's not traumatizing, but I suppose if you were someone who was really into fashion, that scene might even be traumatizing for you.
Right? Ugh.
But then again, I imagine all of Delia's art. Don't judge your fashion choices like that. You know, we can't help you. Then again, I'm pretty sure that Delia's art is traumatizing for most artistic people.
Right? Her sculptures were interesting.
Right? So we got Showtime. Let's see. Then we've got, do we have anything?
Until Death Do Us Part is the wedding.
Is that one on there?
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, there is the wedding. Okay, I didn't see it. It was buried in my clip section.
Do you, Beetle?
So this is where Beetlejuice is trying to get
Says
Lydia
B word.
to
Come on.
marry
Do
him. He, like,
you take
after
this
the auto
woman
scene, he kind of runs her
be
down
your
for
wedded
this.
wife?
And he really pushes hard to
I
get
don't
this
know. I mean, it's kind of a
great
big decision, isn't it? I mean, I always said if I ever did it, I was going to do it once, and that was it. Well, sure, yeah. Go ahead.
And you, do you, Lydia, take this man to be?
Oh.
This is where Lydia's like finally realizing, what the hell am I doing?
Right.
I'm Lydia Dietz and I'm of sound
And then he
mind.
speaks for
The
her.
man next to me is the one I want. You ask me, I'm answering. Yes, I love that man of mine.
And by the
Beetle, the look on her face like, what the fuck did you just do?
Come on.
Why
come
are
on.
you talking for me?
Beetlejuice.
Oh,
That man's with the teeth. That was
come on!
May we continue
Sends him to the model.
Yep.
Then by
Beetlejuice!
And he gets in the same truck that we don't know how it works, but it does.
Beetlejuice!
You're right. Come on, let's get rolling now, Rip.
then by the authority vested in me, the ring, please.
The ring! No!
I never understood what the ring was that what he was getting at. Was it on like somebody's finger?
Yeah.
Here it is. There you go. I'm telling you, honey, she meant nothing to me.
But it
nothing
does.
at all.
She meant nothing.
Oh yeah, that's actually a finger.
I now pronounce you
Come on.
man and
I love how she sandworm wrangling. Yeah.
Writing the sandworm in is just harsh. So let's say, but that in mind, let's talk about the sandworms for a second. Sandworms really they fall into my love of practical effects.
Mm-hmm.
And you were telling me it was like a hand puppet.
Yeah. There's a hand puppet.
It's just crazy. Like, here's another. This is the front end view of the sandworm. Sandworms were scary as shit. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, they were scary. I didn't understand like that was like a husk that was protecting the sandworm's face.
Right? And then it opens up, and then it's like,
yeah, and you're like, what the hell? And what really reminds me of is Dune, when they have the big sandworms from Dune.
Oh, yeah. Yes, sandworms do have a more prevalent role in the cartoon, and you find out a little bit more about what their operation is in terms of the undead and how the world operates.
Do you remember what that was? Because I don't.
It had something to do with, like, wasn't it, correct me if I'm wrong, Kai, do you remember at all? But I'm pretty sure the way I remember sandworms from the cartoon was that it was their job to sort of, like, reclaim spirits that were, like, running amok. Now, like, they were either an imprisonment or a, like, permadeath kind of situation. If you were, like, thrown to the moon and left to be eaten by the sandworms, that was kind of like...
You were, okay.
And that wasn't even, like, purgatory. That was, like...
So it's, like, resetting in the new show Loki that just came on last night.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't watched any of it. I won't watch it until all the eps drop.
It's great.
So,
You'll have fun.
6 weeks. I still have to finish Bad Batch. But, you know, that aside. But sandworms are fun. They fill my niche for practical effects, because I love practical effects. But the sandworms were scary, like, in their own right. They weren't, like, utterly terrifying, mind you. But they were scary in their own right. They had their moment, and you just intrinsically know that sandworms are bad somehow. Just something about the way they're set up just tells you, hey, sandworm bad, sandworm not good. Avoid sandworm.
I mean, if I would have seen that thing coming out of sand at me, I would have been totally terrified and need a new set of pants or underwear, whatever the fuck I was wearing at the time.
I mean, yes. Right? And the first time we see the sandworm, all we see is the hump of the sandworm, because it's, like, going through the sand. You know, we don't really see it in full blow until, like, you know, a little bit later, when, no, well, we do see it when she gets dropped in there, don't we?
Yeah, because it comes up, and then she smacks it or something.
Yeah.
And it goes, meh.
Exactly. So, and then after that, then we just pretty much move on to the end, don't we?
Yep, we move on to the ending scene, and I think between that scene, because for one, it's just like, okay, we know these ghosts are here now. And what are we gonna do? I think the family kind of blends into like this interesting conglomeration.
Weird hybrid family.
This thing reads like stereo
Where they're
instructions.
just getting
Sounds like
along.
when you got an A in the math test.
They've accepted that
He likes it.
she did good art finally. They've accepted that the jokes are there. The Maitlands have
Shake,
adopted
shake,
the,
shake, Sinora,
child.
shake your body liner. Shake, 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 Sinora, shake it all the time. Work, 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 Sinora, work your body liner. Work, 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 Sinora, work it all the time. Jump in the line, rock your body on time. Okay, I believe you, jump in the line, rock your body on time. Okay.
Yeah, the Maitlands have been taking on the nurturing parenting role. And the waiting room with the magician's assistant.
Who got cut in half.
See you sitting there.
Literally cut in half. Hey, is that your work?
Women. I don't know
And
what
he has like this long number, and he's in
Normally
I think it's funny that the witch doctor is there and the Amazon shrunken head guy, because I feel like they are part of the same role.
Yes. And his number though is so huge. He's like 9 million and something, and he's like, "Oh, you're number 4." And he's just like,
Did you do that? Very
that's
nice
your
work.
work, isn't it?
Let me ask you something. How do you get him down so small? Hey, there goes Elvis. Yo, King. Well, looks like I'm next. Good thing, too.
Like he's
I
not
gotta
gonna
do a
notice
photo
this
shoot for
huge long.
KQ in about an hour and a half.
right
Yeah, they've
after
been
he
after
had
me
just
for
looked at his
Doing
number.
some kind of underwear deal. I don't know what. Whoa, hey, what are you doing? Hey, stop it! Hey, you're messing up here! Come on! Whoa! Whoa! Stop it! Whoa!
And this is another McDonald's toy.
Yes.
This might be a good look for me.
Yes.
Tango waltz or the rumba. Senora's dance has no title. You jump in the saddle, hold on to the bridle. Jump in the line, rock your body on time. Okay, I believe you. Jump in the line, rock your body. Rock your body, child.
I believe you jumped in the line.
But you know, I mean, all in all, it was Beetlejuice. You know, I think that's all of our clips.
Yeah, I think that's all of our clips.
Yeah, because we've got Jump in Line, Shake Sonora. That's the same as the end clip. So, but yeah, you know, Beetlejuice. All in all, it has its own charm to it. It's not a super scary movie. It has its moments of trauma, like we discussed. But really, at the end of the day, this movie was about family. This movie was about being seen, about being heard, about not being forgotten. If you want to get right down, the Maitlands didn't want to be forgotten, and they just wanted to be seen and heard. They felt invisible. And the sandworms and Titan, you know, the moon is another allegory for isolation and being alone. Because when you're out there, you're just that. You're isolated, you're alone, you're by yourself. You know, and we see that very prevalent, and we see that in how the Maitlands feel all throughout the movie, until they meet Lydia. And we see that that's how Lydia feels until she really befriends the Maitlands, and they start to have this kind of connection. And then you get to where we are at the end of the movie, where they're actually just sort of this big, weird, happy family?
Right. And what I think is interesting is this is also could be a template for polyamory families, because polyamory wasn't a word that was mentioned a whole bunch in the 80s. In fact, that's when the word came out, but in smaller circles. But it's showing how you can have this whole poly unit all have different jobs and roles in raising polywogs, or the child up in this family.
Right. No, I can't necessarily disagree with that, because everybody has their part. You know, you've got the main parental figures who go out and work and they keep the house and the roof over their head. You have the other parental units who do all the nurturing and the caring and the taking care of. So, you know, you kind of end up with this really nice blended family. But it's also another good allegory too for how step families and separated parents can work together to give a child a complete life. And Lydia has the most complete life now because she has two groups of parents who are looking after her all the time, instead of just one group of parents who's ignoring the other group.
Right, and they all have their roles that they play, like we've pointed out, and they have time to do stuff by themselves.
Absolutely.
You know?
Right, they get their time away and their time to do what their own thing is. And yeah, I mean, it's just, there's so many little like nitpick allegorical things we can pull out of it and show in different ways. But that being said, you know, for the first time, because I finally got around to it because I've been terribly, terribly lazy about it. I apologize, fam. That's on me. But we do have our trauma scale. And so Beetlejuice on our trauma scale really fell in at a 2. It did its best. It wasn't very traumatic, but it was its own neat, unique little movie. It filled its own little niche, and we thought it was a good one to cover just because of the family aspects and just the micro trauma in it. It's not this big, overwhelming trauma that a lot of our other movies have represented. It's tiny trauma, but nonetheless, it's trauma, and that trauma affects us in different ways all of the time. And recognizing that trauma, no matter how tiny it might be, can have an effect on us is what's important.
Right.
Because, look at the shrimp scene. Like Nikki said, you know, didn't eat shrimp for days after that scene because of, you know, and that scene to me is still one of the most terrifying scenes. You know, Beetlejuice's snake scene learned a lot. It helps you understand a lot of people's fear of snakes.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you see that, and it's just this innate fear of snakes. I learned the value of respecting your local civil servants because they might off themselves tomorrow, and then you have to wait in line even longer. Yes!
Right?
Well played, sir. Well played. I also learned the value of not offing myself because I don't want to become a civil servant.
Right.
So, but that being said, that's Beetlejuice, everybody. We hope you enjoyed it. If you have anything, obviously be sure to like, follow, and subscribe if you can. Also, please feel free to check out our merch. Again, like we talked about at the beginning of the stream, we did get new merch. We have a lot of merch out there, but we did get new merch. For example, sometimes it's Rule 34, not the movie that traumatizes you. We should probably have another one that says that sometimes it's us. Like,
sometimes it's our rendition of the movie.
Like when they're talking about it. We also have another one. I have that image somewhere. What did I do with it? Here's the other one. If you want to see, this is one of the shirts. This is what it looks like on a shirt versus a mug. So yeah, it's nice. We do this, obviously scary. we do this for us and for you to understand, and we have a lot of fun with it. But if you feel like supporting us, please follow and sub. That would be great. And if you want to give a little bit more, please feel free to buy merch. Obviously, no expectations on anybody from that one. But as always, it's been fun for me. I hope it's been fun for you, Nikki.
It's fun to do these things.
Our next movie, we have it already panned out. Obviously, we have a suggestion box down below as well that you guys can use to suggest movies to us. But our next movie is going to be The Land Before Time. So I hope you guys are prepared for that because it will be an interesting one for us to cover. But until next time, guys, it's been fun, Streamland. I hope you guys have a wonderful night, and we will talk to you later. Bye.
They're the movies that traumatized us.